before successfully giving him the Heimlich maneuver. Now, clearly this is a crime, but...
That face.
Let's go.
What is up, you guys? I'm Charmx. Today I'm going to be reacting to Film Theory, Mrs. Doubtfire is a Criminal by the Film Theorist. Now, I remember seeing, Mrs. Doubtfire a long time ago, and it's quite a classic movie. Hopefully this doesn't ruin it, but, judging from the title, it probably is going to. But anyway, with that being said, the original link's in the description. Make sure you guys go subscribe to the Film Theorist. Without any further ado, let's begin.
I'm placing an ad for a housekeeper.
Hello? Are your kids well behaved?
What kind of intro is this, Matt? This is very terrifying.
You remind me of someone.
You will follow
The editing in this brings a whole new light to this movie.
a schedule. Those who do not follow the schedule will be punished.
Oh my
We gotta go on line with one
goodness.
now!
That is legit terrifying. That is legit terrifying. Matt, what have you done to this movie? What have you done to this movie, Matt?
Hello,
That really goes to show the power of editing. It can turn a movie that's, everyone loves for the most part, and that's family friendly, into something that's a horror movie. That's crazy.
Internet. Welcome to Film Theory, removing the nostalgia glasses from your eyes and grinding them under our digital video heel every week. On the chopping block today, the beloved 1993 family comedy, Mrs. Doubtfire, which, if you grew up in the 90s, you'll understand beloved is an understatement. This thing was a staple in everyone's VHS collections, a yearly, if not daily watch for a lot of kids around the country. Like most of Robin Williams' movies, it was an instant classic.
I haven't even seen it and I'm getting emotional at the moment.
Simultaneously hilarious and heartwarming in that unique way that only he could do. For those of you who haven't seen the film before, here's the brief overview. Robin Williams, aka Daniel Hillard, is a talented voice actor living with his wife Miranda and 3 kids in San Francisco, California. Early on in the film, Miranda files for divorce after Daniel throws a wild birthday party for their son. Because he doesn't have a regular job or place to live, the family court judge grants primary custody.
This is a side note, but what kind of last straw is throwing a birthday for your son? Like you throw a birthday for your son, and that's what makes you get a divorce. Is that you threw a birthday party for your son? That's not really a good that's it. That's how we're gonna divorce. You threw a birthday for the kid. We're gonna divorce like that. What?
Custody to Miranda, only allowing Daniel to have visitation rights for a few hours every week. Daniel, devastated that he can't see his kids every day, does what any normal parent would do.
Normal, sane parent.
To disguise himself as an elderly British woman in order to get hired as his children's nanny. As you can imagine, hilarity ensues as Daniel struggles to maintain his double life. But what you were really laughing at weren't the antics of a dedicated, loving father, but really the machinations of a morally bankrupt criminal. I'm here today to expose Daniel not just for his crimes, but also his behavior that, quite honestly, should warrant him seeing a mental health professional.
No kidding. The fact that you would dress up as an elderly lady, pretend that you were said elderly lady, and then go spend time with your kids, which you're only supposed to be spending, a couple hours a week with. I mean, that kind of warrants a psychological...
So it's time to crack open those law books and find out whether Daniel Hillard will be exchanging his dress and wig for an orange jumpsuit and, not dropping the soap.
Really, a drop the soap joke, Matt. I'm surprised that you would make that joke.
Let's start going through the film. From the opening moments, Daniel's self-destructive habits are clearly on display. The first scene has him actively sabotaging an important voiceover job.
This session is costing the studio thousands of dollars. If you leave, you're not coming back in.
Then I've got to do what I've got to do.
And he's not wrong to walk out of this job, but at this point, he chooses to spiral downward even further in his self-destructive habits by throwing a blatantly out-of-control party for his kids. A party that he...
I mean, that's probably like the least out of control party. Like back in 1993, maybe that's what, like the most out of control party they could think of. But like nowadays, a lot more crazy stuff goes down at parties, right? It's not that crazy. It's not that crazy.
Clearly recognizes is against the wishes of his wife.
Party?
Yes!
No.
Yeah, Mom said you couldn't have one because of your report card.
Mom's not gonna be home for another 4 hours, is she?
A party that also happens to be highly illegal.
Are you aware that it's illegal to possess animals of a barnyard nature in a residential area? We're also responding to a noise ordinance violation.
How illegal?
Maybe a little bit crazy of a party.
Well, funny enough, I couldn't find anything about possession of barnyard animals in a residential neighborhood on the books. However, I did find Article 1, Section 37, Clause C of the San Francisco Public Health Code, which prohibits the possession of hooved animals within a residential district. Not exact, but pretty darn close. Both goats and horses, which are seen during the scene, would be a direct violation of this statute, resulting in a punishment of about $100 and approximately 30 days in county jail.
Now, are they actually, like, I don't think they're actually his animals, right? So I think couldn't he get away with it because it's not his animals? He doesn't possess them. It could be like one of those services where you rent a horse for a day or something. Because I know, you know, David Dobrik, the massive YouTuber, he has rented a freaking little pony for a day, and he's taken it to people's houses and done stuff like that. And this is all in LA, so it might just be that they don't own the animal, they're just renting it or something like that. Like for a birthday party, you're not gonna go and buy a bunch of animals, you might rent them for a day, like a mini petting zoo or whatever. You might be able to do that, I don't know.
This would be his first offense, the jail time would probably be waived. And for the noise violation, Daniel would only be fined another $100 as specified by Section 291Y of the San Francisco Police Code. Sure, the movie frames Daniel as the cool dad who's being henpecked by his stick-in-the-mud workaholic wife, but the subtext here is that we have an unhappy man who rebounds from misfortune by engaging in even more self-destructive behaviors that he knows are wrong. And that spiral just continues throughout the movie. This opening scene results in Miranda getting a divorce from Daniel and her winning sole custody over the kids.
Yeah, like the fact that's the last straw gets me, you know? You threw a birthday for your kid's divorce! I mean, it was a pretty wild party, I guess, right? Like, with the animals and all that. But, I mean, still, it was not like it was a hateful gesture or anything.
Employment, Daniel is only allowed to have visitation rights on Saturdays.
Every Saturday. It's 1 day a week. That's not enough.
Unhappy with the court's ruling, Daniel devises the plan to disguise himself as a British nanny in order to trick Miranda into hiring him so he can spend more time with the kids. All this while Miranda finds herself a new boyfriend, Stu. And this is where the plot of the
Is that Pierce Brosnan? Man, Pierce Brosnan looks so young. Oh my goodness.
movie and Daniel's crime spree truly begin. You see, I know it was a common trope of movies, especially in the 90s, to portray step-parents as evil. But unlike other films, Stu actually makes an effort to bond with these kids and seems very genuine about his relationship with them. One of his buddies
What was with the what was with that? Him leaning in, smiling all creepily.
even asks why he's dating someone with baggage, and he responds by saying that they're
terrific kids, and I'm crazy about them.
So what does Daniel do to this unusually good-natured boyfriend? He takes advantage of his generosity, vandalizes his car, and then nearly murders him. You know, family-friendly comedy stuff.
Just like how Bambi lost his norm. What a family-friendly movie that was.
It's okay to kill your romantic rival and kid's possible stepdad. In one scene, Daniel, dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire, takes the ornament off of Stu's Mercedes. Since he, quote, maliciously damages property that he does not own, end quote, it would technically be considered vandalism by the California Penal Code and would result in a $1,000 fine and potentially another year in county jail. California is not messing around, you American vandals. Never seen that show, but Phil DeFranco says it's good.
American Vandal. Oh yeah, I started watching that. It's stupid. It's really stupid. I mean, it's enjoyable, but it's like the whole premise of it, I'm not going to spoil it, but the whole premise of it is really that someone at a school drew images of, you know, wing-wangs on cars, and like they're trying to figure out who did it. That's basically it. And it's funny.
I have to check it out. In a later scene, Daniel, once again disguised as Doubtfire, is at a bar and hears Stu criticize him as a negligent father.
What can I say, Ron? The guy's a loser.
Daniel responds by throwing a blindsided lime at Stu.
I saw it. Some angry member of the kitchen staff. It was a run by fruiting.
Believe it or not, this too can be considered a crime. A district attorney would likely classify it as battery, defined as, quote, willful and unlawful use of force or violence upon the person of another, end quote, which adds another $2,000 $10,000 fine and potentially 6 months.
Yeah, I think Matt's right. I mean, regarding the animal part, I don't know, because, you know, David Dobrik can go and hire a pony for a day or whatever. So Robin Williams or Mrs. Doubtfire, or whatever the actual father's name in the movie, could go and hire some animals for a birthday party, and that'd probably be fine. But yeah, like, this is obviously, you know, basically assault. And then him vandalizing his car. So I think Matt's right here.
Of county jail time to Daniel's growing rap sheet. But all of this is small potatoes, or should I say small limes, when compared to Daniel's most violent crime of the entire film, the near murder of Stu. The movie culminates in a final chaotic scene where Daniel has to keep shifting back and forth between his two identities. Amongst all this mayhem, Daniel takes the time to steal a chef's jacket, sneak into the kitchen, and then add pepper to Stu's shrimp, despite being very well aware that Stu is allergic to pepper.
Yeah, that's like attempted murder right there. That's like attempted murder, because if you know the person's allergic, you don't know how bad their allergy is or what will happen if they do get, like, their allergy triggered or whatever. Like, their throat might start closing up. This is not looking good for Miss Doubtfire.
I'll have the jambalaya. And make mine not spicy. I'm allergic to pepper.
When the food is served, Stu begins to eat it and immediately has himself an allergic reaction. Not a funny sort of reaction, a dangerous one. Daniel recognizes his mistake, exclaiming,
Oh no, I killed the bastard.
before successfully giving him the Heimlich maneuver. Now, clearly this is a crime, but
That face.
what sort of crime is it? Well, if Stu had died like he was on the verge of, it would have been tried as voluntary manslaughter, in which someone is killed unintentionally during a crime of passion, often being provoked while tensions are high. In this case, Daniel sprinkling the pepper was meant to be a harmful prank, but at no
Also, what kind of pepper is that? Like, isn't pepper black? Like, that's red. What kind of pepper is red? Red pepper.
no point did he intend to kill Stu, as evidenced by him doing the Heimlich to save him. If there had been intent to kill, but still no planning, then this would have been tried as attempted second-degree murder. Regardless, no one dies. So does this mean that Daniel gets himself off scot-free? Absolutely not.
Well, I'm not surprised. After all, it was attempted murder.
For starters, Daniel violated Section 347 of the California Penal Code, which states, quote, every person who willfully mingles any poison or harmful substance with any food, drink, medicine, or pharmaceutical product is guilty of a felony punishable by imprisonment in the state prison for 2, 4, or 5 years.
Looks like Mrs. Doubtfire is gonna be away for a while.
Other possible crimes Daniel could be on the hook for here include reckless endangerment, battery, and, on the extreme end, assault with a deadly weapon. No, pepper might not seem like a deadly weapon, but since Daniel knew it was harmful to Stu, a lawyer could absolutely make a case for it, which would yield a sentence of up to 4 years in county jail and a fine of $10,000. So, between the...
Yeah, I think Matt's right here. Mrs. Doubtfire, although I was arguing for Mrs. Doubtfire's case in the very beginning, because I think the animal thing is, dumb. As I said, you can rent a freaking pony for a day or whatever, and that's fine. But, all of this, yeah, this isn't looking good for Miss Doubtfire. I guess we'll be seeing Miss Doubtfire in like 5 years.
Party violations, vandalism, battery, and poisoning, Daniel Hillard could be facing around $13,200 in fines and an upwards of 10 years in prison. As large as that may seem, though, we still haven't touched on his biggest crime. Oh yeah.
I thought you said it was attempted manslaughter or whatever. What else is bigger? His impersonation of someone like that, maybe?
Killing his romantic rival is far from the biggest thing Daniel has to worry about. We've overlooked something major up to this point. So major, in fact, that it could increase Daniel's sentence 4 times over. And
I assume it's impersonating someone. That's what I think.
the thing that I've overlooked up till now is the point of the entire movie. You see, according to the terms of divorce announced by the judge at the beginning of the movie, Daniel Hillard...
Oh, okay. So it's not impersonating someone. It's seeing his kids when he's only allowed like a couple hours a week or something like that.
is only allowed to see his children for a few hours every Saturday. For the rest of the week, Miranda has full custody. Since this divorce agreement is a legal decree, intentional violation of it is considered contempt of court. In order to be convicted of contempt of court in the state of California, the defendant must have knowledge about the order in question and then willfully have violated that order.
Which he did because he was at the court when they said that. And he violated it because he dressed up and everything just so that he could be with the kids. So he knew what he was doing there, I guess. Oh, Mrs. Doubtfire, what have you done? What have you, Matt? Why do you gotta ruin these movies? Why do you gotta ruin these movies, Matt?
Now, clearly Daniel had knowledge about the divorce agreement since he was present in the courtroom when it was decided, and the violation of the agreement was absolutely intentional on the part of Daniel. This is a crystal clear example of contempt of court, which is punishable by a maximum sentence of 1 year in county jail and a $1,000 fine. But that's not all. For some court orders, including family court matters and restraining orders, the California Penal Code mandates that, quote, each contact shall constitute a separate violation.
Each contact, and he was with them for a long time. Oh.
This means that each time Daniel actively saw his kids outside of the court-mandated hours is considered a unique offense. At the end of the film, it's revealed that it's been 2 months since the initial
2 months. That's 60 different offenses, I guess, or even more than that if it's more than one a day.
Divorce hearing.
Your Honor, in the past 2 months, I've secured a residence. I've refurbished that residence and made it an environment fit for children.
At 5 days a week for 8 weeks, Daniel would be charged with up to 40 cases of contempt of court. This alone is of 40 years in jail and a $40,000 fine. So if you tack on all the other offenses, which look gracious in comparison now, Daniel could potentially be spending nearly 50 years behind bars.
What a freaking maniac. Seriously, only a crazy person would do what he did.
And paying over $53,000 in legal fines. Now, obviously, these figures were calculated using the maximum sentencing requirements for each infraction, so there is possibility that Daniel could have been given a shorter sentence by the jury or received parole for good behavior. However, I don't think many jurors and judges are going to be sympathetic to a man who almost murdered someone while dressed up as an elderly British woman so he could sneak into his house and basically kidnap his kids from a legal standpoint.
I think he definitely needs to get like a psychological exam or something. He doesn't seem to be all too right in the head.
But the worst twist of all is that at the beginning of the movie, it's made clear that
I'm giving you 3 months, Mr. Hillard. 3 months in which to get a job, keep it, and create a suitable home. If this proves to be a possibility for you, I will consider a joint custody arrangement.
Yeah, why didn't he just do that? 3 months. So you just take your 3 months, you could do everything that they want, and then you can see your kids. A lot of bad decisions were made by Ms. Doubtfire, or Mr. whatever the frick his name is.
When we reconvene.
All he needed to do was wait for 3 months and his problems would have been solved. Instead, he self-sabotages yet again. This time, actively throwing away the last remaining shred of happiness in his life, his kids. And because of his actions, the soonest that he'll see them is when they're ready to join AARP.
Anyway, I hope you guys like this video. It's another freaking classical movie ruined for me. But if you liked it, I hope you give it a thumbs up, possibly share it with a friend. And I think Matt's correct. I think everything Ms. Doubtfire did, besides the birthday party part, that's the one thing I'm standing up for. Because you could go and rent animals for parties. You can go and rent, and in Los Angeles, you can go and rent them. You know, besides from that, I think Matt's right that, you know, he definitely did try to kill that guy with the pepper. Or maybe he didn't try to kill, but he definitely tried to make the guy's allergy act up. And if you don't know what his reaction's gonna be, obviously one of the options could be death from the peppers. And then his whole thing of seeing his kids every day when he's not allowed to, and he was aware of that. He's definitely a maniac. Anyway, if you guys like this, give it a thumbs up, possibly share with a friend, and I'll see you guys next time. Boop!